Marina Skua podcast. My name's Marina. I'm a knitwear designer and yarn dyer based in the southwest of England. And in this podcast, I like to share the creative projects that I'm working on, mostly knitting, but occasionally other textile crafts. And yeah, it's just a bit of progress on what I'm working on. So in this episode, I have one finished object to show you, one work in progress that didn't exist last time I talked to you, and I'm also going to do a little bit of spinning later, and there'll be a look at what we've got going on in the garden. So first up, we have the top I am wearing. Well, I'll talk quickly about the cardigan, just so you know what it is. This is my Galdor cardigan. It's one I released a couple of years ago. And I end up wearing it a lot this time of year just because it's so just easy to wear and comfy to throw on. It's just a little open cardigan, and I've got colour work on the sleeves and around the neckband, and it's just super nice to wear. It's got an interesting construction with quite a lot of steeking because I'm not going to knit colourwork in the round. It's not a thing I'm not going to knit colourwork flat. It's not a thing I'm willing to do. And so that creates some interesting workarounds for this design, but I love how it is. And yeah, I wear it quite a lot. And then underneath is the project that I'm actually going to tell you about, which I'll take this off for now so you can see properly. I had almost finished in the last episode, but it wasn't quite done, and I finished it very soon after, and I've been wearing it fairly constantly since because it's just so nice and satisfying to wear. And on really hot days I haven't worn it when I've been outside a lot, but inside the house is nice and cool here anyway because we've got thick old walls, and so this has been a perfect garment for this time of year. So you can see full details in the last episode, but this is Ciro by Valentina Cosciani, published in issue 6 of Making Stories magazine, which is a really, really lovely issue. There are lots of nice patterns in there. Just move a little bit so you can see. So I have made it without the long sleeves. It's meant to have long, sort of slightly balloony sleeves, which I omitted because I wasn't going to have enough yarn, but also I wanted to be able to wear it as a light and floaty top. So just something really comfy and easy to wear, and it's got a fair bit of positive ease. It's not massively oversized, but you can see that I've got some space going on because this yarn, it has a lot of mohair and alpaca and lots of angora, which means it sheds a fair amount. It's actually not too bad on my trousers, but on other things they've just been covered in white fluff, which is fun. So yes, the combination of fibres, even though I've knitted it at quite an open gauge, it's quite warm, so I didn't want something too cloying. So I had to do a fair bit of work just to pick the right size needles for the neckline. So I've done a tubular cast on, which isn't what the pattern called for, but it's my preferred way of doing it, and I find it's a bit neater. And just for the neckline, because it's designed to be quite a close neckline, I sized up a bit again for the light breezy thing I'm going for. The yarn I was using doesn't have much stretch in it, and so I had to cast on a few times just to get the neckline right so that it would actually go over my head, to get the right amount of stretch in it and work out which size I was actually going to make. And then I did omit one repeat of the yoke pattern because it's a similar pattern that just the repeat gets bigger as it goes further down the yoke. And I omitted one again because I was sizing up and I didn't want the yoke to come to like down here on me. So yeah, I've been wearing it loads and loads and loads. It's a really lovely layering piece. I've just got a little crop top on under here, which is super comfy, and it's just really nice. I love working with my hand spun yarn. I am going to show you more of a spinning project later on. I'm actually going to show you a spinning project that I meant to show you in the last episode and completely forgot about, because it is actually the first yarn I've spun in over a year. So I spun this yarn over a period of like a few months, really. I spun one bobbin, and then it took me quite a long time to get on to spin the second one. And then, because I'd left the first one to rest quite a long time, I wanted to leave the second one to rest before plying them. Because if you're not a spinner, or you haven't done much spinning, when you spin singles, which is the first strand of yarn that you spin, you can leave it to rest after you've spun it before plying it, which is when you spin two of the singles in the opposite direction to balance out the yarn, to make it nice and strong. You can do 2 singles or 3 or more. And leaving the singles to rest before plying sort of takes out some of that springy energy, and it allows that twist energy to sort of relax a little bit. I often don't bother letting my singles rest on purpose, but these days, because well, I say these days, over the last couple of years when I've been doing spinning projects, because I've tended to do bigger spinning projects for garments and things which involve lots and lots of bobbins of fibre, and I'm often spinning quite finely, I do leave them to rest. If I'm doing a quick project and I can ply up fairly quickly, I will often do so. But you want the singles to rest a similar amount of time, because you don't want one bobbin to be all rested and the second or third bobbins to be sort of more freshly spun and energetic, because then it can feel quite imbalanced when you're plying, and you can end up with a yarn that looks a bit sort of kinky, like, I don't know, just not super smooth and nice. So all of that to say, this yarn took me quite a long time to spin. It's just 100 grams. It's undyed grey fibre that Jen at Fernhill Farm gave me. So I used to work at Fernhill Farm years and years ago, when I first went fully sort of freelance, self-employed, after leaving the publishing world. And I used to help Fernhill Farm out with their lots of things, with the wool side of their business. So like packing orders and helping a bit with social media and sorting their website out and various things. And one of the things that we were hoping to work on while I was there was to get some worsted spun yarn and worsted preparation for spinning. And it's taken a long time, but Jen has finally managed it, and so sort of as a thank you for setting some of that in motion, she gave me 100 grams of the prepared comb tops, which is just this lovely silvery grey, and I'm really pleased that I finally got to spin it up. And it's not I wasn't going for a super fine spin, because I've done quite a lot of that. This yarn was very fine. And the yarn I'm currently spinning, which I will show you in a bit, the singles for that are very fine, and I wanted something just a little bit more sort of quick and satisfying. And so this is just really nice and sort of bouncy, and I love how it's come out. And so I'm hoping to combine this, because 100 grams it's sort of an awkward amount, because I love to make garments and I love to make big projects, but it's also too much for like just a hat or something. And so I'm hoping to combine it with some leftover hand spun. I've got a couple of different ones here. This is leftover from my gown cardigan, which I think I wore in the last episode. I might have worn it at the beginning. So it's just a little bit of that left, and this was quite a fine yarn. And then these two, quite similar in colour but very different in feel. These are very kind of fuzzy and matte feeling. These are left over actually from this spinning project. I spun this yarn and then this yarn to go into my ironwork top, which is a colourwork top, so I used both colours. And this was the contrast colour, this was the main colour. I definitely wore that top for the last episode, so if you want to go and have a look at that, that is there. And so I ended up with quite a lot of that spare. And that's a bit wiggly because I think I've probably done some swatching with this at some point and not settled on a project. So I think with those, I haven't actually weighed how much I've got of these, but I could turn those into a nice little shawl project or something, because I would like something quite neutral, because I don't really have many neutral shawls. And you know, this is all for when I have time to do personal knitting projects again, because I'll show you what I'm currently working on, and then I have another big project queued up for immediately after that one. So next project. I'm really pleased with this one. I love how it's coming out. This is a design for issue 11 of Making Stories, which is going to be out spring next year. And it's really nice working with a publication that lets you show what you're working on. It makes my life so much more fun. So this is my own yarn. It's my hand-dyed Mend It 4-ply. I absolutely love this colour. I've been wanting to do a garment in it for ages. I have used it before in colour work, but I've really wanted to use it on its own. So this is teal on the cloudy base. And I mean, it works very nicely with this. And it's just knitting up really nicely and sort of bouncy and squishy and lightweight and smooth and slightly rustic and fun. Really enjoying it. And I'm doing cables, which is lots of fun. So on the back we've got these cables going down the back, and they sort of get wider as they go down. So I finished the body, and shock horror, I'm doing one sleeve at a time. If you've been around for a while, you know that this literally never happens. But because of the way the design deadlines and everything work, I need to get the pattern written up before I need to send off the sample. And so I would like to have one sleeve completely knitted in time for the pattern deadline, so that I can make sure that yarn quantities are all accurate and that I don't need to make any tweaks based on how the knitting goes. And so usually, well, always, I would go for 2 at a time sleeves, but in this case, 1 at a time works out much better with deadlines. And because of fun top-down construction, I can try it on and see how we're going. So this is actually a size larger than I would have made for me, so it's got a little bit more positive ease, but I'm really liking how this raglan construction's going. I've deliberately done quite a high, narrow neck because lots of cardigans have like really wide back necks, and so sort of start out here. And I wanted something that was, I don't know, just had a bit more coverage at the neckline. And then sleeves, we've got the beginnings of the cables coming down the top of the sleeve there. So we've just got this little line of pearls that comes and travels down into the cables. And that's all I'm going to show you of that for now. We'll see how we're doing in time for next month's episode. I might have finished it by then. I might show you it finished just as a quick look before I send it off to Germany to be photographed and everything. We'll see how it goes. But really enjoying that one, and I'm enjoying the cables. I'm enjoying knitting with my own yarn. It's always nice and fun. I love the yarn I produce, and I really enjoy the colours that I dye, and I was so glad that Hannelisa chose that colour because it was one of the ones that I proposed, but sometimes you have favourites. So yeah, that's sort of that on those things. Eloquent as ever, sorry. So yes, I've been working on that. Well, that, I think I mentioned last time that I was just about to start working on that. So that's not quite a month's progress on that cardi. So I've been working on that fairly exclusively, along with a tiny bit of spinning when I get the time. And I've got my big basket of fluff here. And what I'm going to try and do is spend a little time spinning out in the garden, because the weather has been glorious recently. It's a little bit windy, but the garden's looking really nice. So I'll just do a little bit of spinning. We can have some chill time, and I can show you what I've got going on in the garden at the moment. So yeah, hope that sounds fun. It's really nice to have a little bit of outside space that is beginning to feel like my own, where I can spend time and enjoy the sunshine and do a little bit of crafting. And so that's all I've got for you this month. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm going to leave you with some shots of a recent trip down to South Devon to visit some family. And speaking of Devon, mustn't forget, next month on 17th of June, I am going to be at the John Arbon Textiles Mill Open Weekend. There are quite a few people I'm already really looking forward to seeing there. I am going to be participating in a panel discussion at 12:30 on the Saturday with Daughter of a Shepherd, Garth Enor, River Knits, and the people from John Arbon themselves. I think that's everyone. And we're going to be talking about creating bespoke yarns. So I think mostly the focus of the discussion will be on creating yarns commercially at a mill, but I'm also going to bring in a little bit of my experience as a hand spinner, because the way I approach that is quite different to creating yarns to dye and sell on a larger scale. So yes, I do hope you'll come along. Do say hello if you are there and see me. I'd love to meet you or see you again if we've met before. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And if you're not able to come but want to keep up with what I'm up to, you can sign up to my newsletter where I do all of my product updates and what I've got being released. And if you want additional content and some more like Marina time, you can join my Patreon. There are various tiers available, but there are bonus goodies like extra videos every month, and you can get free patterns. You can participate in monthly Zoom calls that I do with a nice little group, and join in our Discord chat and stuff. And it's all really nice and helps keep the podcast going, which is all really appreciated. So thank you to those of you who are patrons already. And so with that, that's all I've got. And so I will catch you next time, and thanks very much for joining. Bye bye!